Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a special edition of the Marcia Weekes Show. We are coming to you live from Barbados. I'm hoping you're hearing me. Let me know if you're hearing me well. Let me just quickly welcome everybody who's joining. Now, tonight is a special edition, and the reason it is so special tonight is that the former Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Frundle J. Stewart, QC, he's a former PM of Barbados. He is actually speaking live at the moment on the state of politics in Barbados. And as I was listening to the presentation this evening, I thought it would be great to start the show with it. So we're changing everything that we had planned, and we're going to sit at this man's feet and learn some things and ask some questions. But how we're going to do it, we're going to listen to it in pieces. And then we're going to open the floor for calling in. Call in and let's talk and debate it, right? And then we listen to another piece of it, all right? And then hopefully at 8:30, we will see if Jason wants to join us, Jason Phillips, to continue on this, what we're doing tonight. I don't think we should miss this opportunity. I don't know what you all think about that, but we need to capture this this evening, okay? So I'm going to go right into the segment at this moment that is happening right here in St. Philip South, okay? And he's at the Princess Margaret School.
History. Then we had Dr. Walcott and Mr. Davison Ishmael, ministers in the Ministry of Health. And now we have, what's her name, Lisa, coming. So that's 1 and 2, 3 and 2, 5, 6 ministers in 8 years in the Ministry of Health. 6 ministers in 8 years in the Ministry of Education. First, Ms. Bradshaw. Then, Ms. K. McConney. That's 2. Then we had Ms. Sandra Husbands and Mr. Chad Blackman. That's 4. And of course, we still have Chad Blackman and Sandra there, but they're, for all practical purposes, new ministers because they had to be reappointed by the head of state. Public Works and Transport. We started with William Duguid. Then we moved to Sandy Bradshaw. Then we're now at Mr. Humphrey. Oh, he was at transport too? Okay, right. So that's four then. Four in 8 years. I can't remember the names of them. And you can go through them ministry by ministry by ministry. All these personalities. There's something called busy inertia in this government. Busy inertia. Everybody busy and nothing ain't happening. Whenever I've watched them, I am reminded of what a historian said about the government of the Austrian Empire in the 19th century. He said the government of the Austrian Empire is so sweetened by negligence and frivolity that it has become slow, secret, arbitrary, and confused. He said it's wrapped in such layer upon layer of formalism that it seems screened off from the spirit of improvement. And that is what we see around us every day. And we must begin to ask questions about these things. Of course, I wouldn't advise you to ask the governor of the central bank because you may end up with the unchiseled, repellent, and disdainful put down that that journalist recently suffered at the time. But all of this confusion, this busy inertia, and nothing is happening. The new minister with responsibility for crime has announced a number of things. He establishing a gun court. He said the government is committed to reclaiming the streets. Now, reclaiming the streets means you lost them before. You don't reclaim something that you already have. You've lost them, so you're not going to reclaim them. And in the meanwhile, while all that talk is going on, citizens, whenever they meet one another, their parting words are, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, be safe. Because there's a consciousness in the country that anything can happen to anybody anytime. So it has now become routine to say to people, be safe. So socially, we are in a state of confusion as well. While the narrative is that all is well, that we're living in a sunlit environment, the actual experiences of people say otherwise. Reflect that recently one of the public officials, the lady who used to be in charge of what used to be called the National Task Force on Crime Prevention, it has another name now because that's the other thing. We change names very often. Don't forget, she announced in the front page story that 240 young men lost their lives by violent crime between 2019 and at the time of her speech. 240. They're the ones that lost their lives. This doesn't say the ones that got wounded but have survived. So that is not the whole crime picture. But that is the nature of our loss. And then when you come to economic matters, this story is no different. There's been all this growth, 20 consecutive quarters of growth. The economy is doing well. That's what we are told. But the actual lived experience of the average household is something completely different. When you go to Shore Pay, you don't meet the economy there. When you go to the Barbados Water Authority, there's no economy there. The economy is doing too well to be there. You got to be there because you're doing well. And this fiction continues to characterize our politics in Barbados today. And it has to be smashed, this fiction. It does not reflect the reality that all of us in this room experience in this country. It just does not. And therefore, we know as a party what kind of work we have to do. The lilies of the valley have not delivered what they said they were going to deliver. There was supposed to be this new heaven and this new earth after May 2008. Well, the book of Revelation talks about St. John the Divine said he saw a new heaven and a new earth, where the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. But for us, there's still sea because we have to get offshore islands, but they ain't come yet. The offshore islands that we were promised have not yet come.
Annette, listen,
So
do me a big favor. Can you ask the
the
sound
lilies
person if they could
have
just
not
turn
delivered.
the audio a little bit, carrying it through the show? Everybody's good. It's just
And
so
I think I
low.
should wind up what I have to
Just
say.
ask him. It's
I
coming,
should let
still
William
coming
Shakespeare
across
have
too
the last
low. It's not in the room. Telling me to feed to the people for what.
Shakespeare said in one of his poems, I don't want to quote the whole poem, said, the summer flower is to the summer sweet.
Okay.
Though to itself it only live and die. But if that flower base infection meet, the basest weed outbraves his dignity. And these are the two critical lines now. For sweetest things turn sourest by their deeds, and lilies that fester smell far worse than reeds. Lilies that fester smell far worse than reeds. And that's the reality with which we are dealing in Barbados over the last 8. Lilies that fester smell far worse than reeds. I thank you very much.
Well, folks, good evening again. Good evening again. That was the latter part of the address by the Right Honorable Frondell Stewart. And he said some very, very important points there have been made. And what we want to do this evening, I changed the program so that we could, I think it's the right thing to do because the material, it is so powerful. And so what we want to do this evening is to, if you've heard anything, we're doing the program completely different. If you've heard anything all the way up until 8:30, we're going to have the line open. Kimte, all of you, call in. And as we listen tonight, what I will say is the audio is a little low. So we're going to ask you to turn up the volume on your computer or your phone so you can listen, because I think that it is that important that we all need to listen to it. But I'm going to open up the line just from now. Is there anything that he has said that you thought that you want us to discuss a bit? I know I was listening earlier and I heard quite a number of things. Um, yes, you need a listening ear. Yes, you've got to listen, Mavis. And so, if there's anybody who wants to give us a call, feel free to do that. If you heard he was talking about the numbers of the Ministry of Health, those in the Ministry of Health, 6 ministers in 8 years. He calls them the lilies of the valley. It's the lilies of the valley, and there's a phrase he was saying at the very end, but my pen stopped working, and I rushed to get a pen in the next room, and I completely missed the phrase. Did anybody get the phrase? If you're just joined, this is the Marcia Weekes Show, where we just started very differently from the way we normally start. We started listening to the Right Honorable Frondell Stewart this evening as he spoke about the state of politics in Barbados. This is not all that we had planned, but I will wait and see if you are open. Anybody is open to call in. If you're not, then I'm going to move on with the regular program. Okay, some of you just came on. Some of you just came on. Okay. Well, let me see if we can do a little bit more of it. Let me see if we can. Okay, we have a caller. We have a caller. Good night. Welcome to the Marcia Week Show.
Hi, good night, Marcia. I was trying to get hi, hi, good night,
Good
Marcia.
night. Good
I was
night. Good
trying to
night.
get in
Welcome. Let
with
me make sure
early of
that
this
they can
weekend. You
hear.
were doing the thing with the government, but anyhow, yeah.
Yes, go right ahead, please. You said you were trying to get through in case you were doing something with the government.
I was trying to get through when you were talking about the government in the terms of in pay and
Ah,
the
I see.
doctor
I
privilege
see.
and stuff like that.
Yes.
What I will say is that I don't think we needed to pay right away.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't need it in pay. That 10 billion is something dollars that we lost in pay with. That could be used to fix the problems at the QEH, fix the school so that the wouldn't got so much problems and so much rat infestation and rodent infestation.
Mm-hmm.
All of those problems that we could have addressed with that been paid, that 10 million and something dollars was paid to launch. We didn't need been pay because when I think about it, right, Marcia?
Yes.
BIMPay and your online banking to do basically the same thing. So we didn't need BIMPay and it wasn't properly launched. You know, what's wrong with the Prime Minister? The Prime
Mm-hmm.
Minister is trying to Americanize everything. I was watching a night and I remember you call her a coward and I almost strangled myself with the laugh because she is a coward.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. No, but it is true. It is true. It is definitely so. You know, and as you said, we didn't need it, and all that's happening now, it's that they did not take
Yes, the
us.
10 million and something dollars could be used for other things.
Yes.
We got a lot of pressing issues that want addressing, and then them come in telling people about them ready, and then fixing the issues at the QEH. We got another 4 years of madness and chaos when
Yes.
they just had the right to do what they were supposed to do. They should have do what they were supposed to do on the 11th of February. But you know what? We all gotta live with it.
Yes. Correct. Because that's
And we
what we
just gotta
did.
write out the moments. I will hope that when the next time come, that they just cause right now they just fed up with them and a lot of people didn't vote and I didn't vex with them for
Mm-hmm.
not voting
Yes.
because a lot of people are tired of them and a lot of people lack confidence in them and that's why a lot of people didn't vote the last time. But she is this kind of person and they just got she is this kind of God that them just worship or something.
Yes. Yes.
So
Well, tonight, what is so important, because I think that sometimes what has happened is that we are so devoid of people who are able to bring the truth, right? And to teach and to break it down, that these people, they come with so much spin, right, my brother, that a lot of times
mhm.
what happen is that we start to believe the spin. We believe what we're hearing. And tonight, what I really wanted to do, and I'm hoping that we can hear him well, I want us to take in a little bit more of the Right Honorable Frondel Stewart, what he's saying. And
Of course.
yes, and I know that there are people there that they will say, they say all kinds of different things about him. I
All,
I
all
think
kinds of wicked things and all kinds of wickedness, partial wickedness in high places.
yes, but I think that he has a lot to say. And
Yes, yes, he does. I did listen to some of it and he started to speak some messages that are interesting because, you know something? They say, oh, they blame COVID for everything and they blame the DLP for bashing up the country. But my thing is, the DLP campaigned to the office since 2018. The DLP has nothing to do with what's going on
what
now.
is happening. Well, tell you what we're going to do, caller. We're going to go and listen to some more of him. and I want you, feel free to call back, okay? And we're gonna, because I changed the program to deal with to show some of Mr. Stewart tonight, okay? So we're gonna listen to another, say 10 minutes, and then we pause and take calls, and another 10, and that's what we're gonna do, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. So, folks, as you just heard, I hope you will stay with us. And this is the best we can do in terms of the audio, because this is the feed that is coming in. That's the level we've maxed it out, and that's the level that it's coming in on. Okay, so let's listen to the Right Honorable Frondel Stewart, former Prime Minister of Barbados.
Was to try to, in my view, interfere with the independence of the judiciary. Now, when everything else in a society fails, the institution in which you are required to, and expected to have confidence, and to which you are expected to turn, is the judiciary. Mr. Barrow always said to us, the Barbados Labour Party has three battlegrounds: Parliament, the streets, and when they can't have their way in Parliament or on the streets, their next battleground are the courts of law. Now, sometime in 2006, this document made its appearance. It's called A Guide to Judicial Conduct. At the time it made its appearance, Sir David Simmons was the Chief Justice of Barbados. And he wrote a very interesting introduction to this document. I thought it was a very good introduction. And I'm going to read just a short paragraph. He said, I wish to stress, however, that the guidelines are ethical rules, not legal rules. And to that extent, they are not absolute and are not backed by sanctions expressly set out in the guide. They describe the high standards with which all judicial officers should be conversant and to which they should aspire. That's it, David. The guide is a guide setting ethical standards. It's an aspirational guide for judges. Then, at page 19 of the guide, he says at paragraph 6.6, or the document says at paragraph 6.6, a judge shall maintain order and decorum in all proceedings in which the judge is involved. He or she shall be patient, dignified, and courteous in relation to lawyers, litigants, witnesses, and others with whom the judge is called upon to deal in an official capacity. The judge shall require similar conduct of legal representatives, court staff, and others subject to the judge's influence, direction, or control. But before that, he said a judge shall perform all judicial duties efficiently. These duties extend to the delivery of reserved decisions fairly and with reasonable promptness. Save in exceptional circumstances and for good reasons, a judge shall endeavor to deliver a reserved judgment within 8 months. Where the judge reasonably believes that he is likely to reserve judgment for more than 8 months, the judge shall inform the Chief Justice of the circumstances contributing to delay. Fair enough. That 8-month standard is recognized across the Commonwealth. It is aspirational because there are cases that judges just can't meet that 8 months deadline, but as has been said in the document, if you can't meet it, just indicate to the Chief Justice that you're having some problems, explain the circumstances, no problem. No sanctions anyway. Let me tell you what happened as soon as this regime came to office. As I said, this was around since 2006. As soon as they came to office, they amended the Constitution of Barbados, 2019. They obviously came to the conclusion that giving a judge 8 months to write reserved decisions was giving the judge too much time, that judges needed to have more pressure put on them. And therefore, they reduced that 8 months to 6 months. And in addition to that, they moved that provision from being aspirational and ethical to being legal. They put it in the Constitution of Barbados. I know of no other country in the world, certainly in the Commonwealth, that has done that. And of all the places they could put it, they put it in that section of the Constitution that deals with how to get rid of a judge. So, whereas the Constitution was saying that one ground for getting rid of a judge is the inability to perform his duties, whether from physical or mental infirmity or any other cause, or for misbehavior, the third ground for getting rid of a judge now is to say that if he has not written a decision in 6 months, that is the ground to get rid of it. That's the ground to make a complaint and to get a hearing started against the judge so that you can get rid of it. It gets worse. The Nation newspaper carried a story on the 11th of March, 2023, quoting the former Attorney General, the then Attorney General, Mr. Marshall, as lamenting the fact that the Barbados Bar Association has not been forwarding any complaints to the Prime Minister or to the President about judges who are not meeting those requirements, the 6 months requirement. I have not seen in my lifetime so brazen an attack on the independence of the judiciary. And when all else fails in a society, it is to the judiciary that you turn. And the independence of the judiciary has never been to benefit judges. It has always been to benefit litigants.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever a litigant goes before a judge, that litigant should have the confidence that the voice he is hearing is the voice of the judge, and the hand he is feeling is the hand of the judge. That it must not be a case of the voice being the voice of Jacob and the hand being the hand of Esau. So, the independence of the judiciary has been my second concern about where our democracy is going ever since we got it in 1951. That spells trouble. Anytime you cannot trust the courts, anytime you're put in a position where you have to go to court, but you cannot feel that the judge is not under some kind of pressure to deal with your matter, Comrade Corey Greenidge will tell you something is fundamentally wrong. He just told you he's a spokesman on these matters. Something is fundamentally wrong. And I can be fact-checked on this because I checked it myself. I know this has worried me for a very long time. Making the dismissal of a judge dependent on whether he's delivered a decision in 6 months or not. When in fact, the standard that was set was a standard for 8 months, and not a legal standard, just an ethical standard. And that was one of the first priorities of this Barbados Labour Party administration when it came to office. Democracy dies behind closed doors. It dies in the dark. You have to keep an eagle eye open for what is happening around you. These things may look small, but when you pull them all together, they make for the taking away of the fundamental rights and freedoms to which you are entitled as a citizen in Barbados. And the Democratic Labour Party has always tried to enlarge your freedoms rather than to contract them. And we've never interfered with what goes on in the courts. We've always respected the rule of law because we know that if the law does not rule, something else will. The place doesn't remain vacant. If law is not ruling, spite may rule, prejudice may rule, hate may rule. When those things rule, you don't have a chance. When the law rules, we all have a chance because we all believe and expect that there will be equality before the law.
Mm-hmm.
But this happened in 2019, that constitutional amendment, 2019. And in 2023, Mr. Marshall was lamenting on the floor of the House that the Bar Association had not been complaining for judges for violating the 6 months rule. That no complaints had reached the desk of the Prime Minister, no complaints had reached the desk of the head of state. That's frightening. We know of societies where the judiciary has been reduced to a state of fear, and then the persons who suffer are the citizens of the country who had nothing to do with the state of fear, but who suffered the fallout from that state of fear. As I said earlier, I repeat, the independence of the judiciary was never to benefit judges. it was always to benefit litigants, the persons who have to appear before the judges to get their disputes resolved. And you know something? You would have thought that if they want these standards from judges, that they would try to make the judges more comfortable. Every minister of the crown, not the crown of the republic nowadays, although we don't have a constitution to prove that, but anyhow, republic. Every minister has a secretary, his own secretary. You know, judges in Barbados still sharing secretaries? Every minister has a personal assistant. Do you know that judges in our courts are still sharing judicial assistants? So when the judicial assistant is working on something for one judge, the other one has to wait. When the secretary is typing a long document for one judge, the other judge has to wait. So every half or quarter baked or less baked minister has his own secretary and his own personal assistant. Judges are still sharing those things. And while they're sharing those things, the state, through this regime, is trying to put more pressure on. And that can only redound to the disadvantage of the litigants who are ordinary men and women in Barbados. That has concerned me as a problem in the state of our politics in this country. So that and the trust we can afford to have in the electoral process. Those two. Let me go to the third. In 1963,
Okay, folks. So what we're going to do now, we're going to ask you to call in. We want to take this in bite sizes, okay? Small pieces. Tonight is about education. It's about motivating us. It's about a lot of the things that we talk about. Here we have the former prime minister. He is validating a lot of what we've been saying. He's a lawyer, and he is really talking to us about the state of democracy, the state of politics, or the state of our democracy in Barbados. I think we need to give a listen to this. So if you want to give us a call, I think I saw Commissioner was calling. The phone line is open right now, and call. And we are going to take about 3 calls, and then we go back to the presentation, okay? We are only taking 3 calls. It needs to relate to what we are talking about tonight. All right, so who is going to call first? Who is going to call first? Okay, my mic, you're getting ruffled sounds coming through my mic. Let me know, are we having sound issues? You're not hearing me clearly? Are you hearing ruffled sounds coming through my mic? Please, someone let me know. Thank you. No comments, no comments. Are you hearing me? Let me see if it might be my fan. Let me just move the fan back a bit. Okay, all right. So some people are saying I have no audio issues. Okay. All right. Anybody has thank you, Revelation. Anybody has want to call? Okay, we have a caller. Caller, good night.
I was only calling to tell you that I got my brothers up there
100% and more, because I could scarce to hear former Prime Minister.
Okay, you're not hearing, you're not
I get it. I know what's going wrong there.
Okay, all right, no problem. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, let Robert call back as soon as I pick up the momentum of the call back.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So let's sort this out. Were you guys hearing the former Prime Minister? Because I'm hearing him clearly. I turned up all of my volume and I'm hearing him clearly. It's you can hear him clearly, Tanisha. Is there anybody? M. Gardner said that they can't. Andrea, you're hearing. Okay, so that's two. Gardner said, okay, you could hear. It is clear. I was hearing. Not too good. Okay, so you have to turn up your volume on your whatever the device you're listening to it on. Just turn up the volume on it, okay? Yes, you have to turn up. Somebody said they turn up their TV. So turn up the volume. If it's your phone, turn up the volume on your phone. If it's your laptop, look for the volume button and turn it up. Okay, and people, are you hearing me clearly? Okay. All right. All right. Let's hope that we can settle with all of the any audio issues that we might be having. Okay, right. When he had just started to speak, you couldn't hear him, but we made some adjustments on this side so that you could. Okay. All right. So we have a caller. Good night, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show.
Good night, Marcia.
Yes, sir.
I am not here. Hello.
Yes, sir. We're listening to the Right Honorable Fronda Stewart. Do you have a comment about what you heard?
Well, I have not been hearing much whatsoever.
Ah, I see. So this is not working out then for you.
Right, but I did pick up that he was speaking about the judges, and he also made a reference to the changing of the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would like to pick up briefly on that mention of the changing of the Constitution, because I think since 2018, we have been suffering from what I call constitutional vandalism, in the sense that we do not have a bona fide Republican Constitution to reflect our Republican status. But frequently, the government is constantly changing in a roughshod manner, changing the Constitution to satisfy their own ambition, so to speak. And because of that, I am saying that, along with other things, I am saying that Barbados is now deeply embedded in a constitutional crisis.
Yeah.
And that is why we are having the kind of issues that we are having in Barbados today.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was going to put it to what you're saying, Nigel, in context to what Mr. Stewart is saying, what the former Prime Minister is saying. He's saying that in 2006 there was what is called a guide to judicial government, right? And these are just ethical standards that, within 8 months, a judge is supposed to be able to write a decision on a matter, because, not try to drag it out. However, what he's saying in 2019, remember they came to office in 2018, right? part of in
Yes.
May 2018, and by 2019 they changed the constitution to they changed they actually they changed that ethical standard then to 6 months, and saying that the judges need to write a decision in 6 months. And they didn't just make it an ethical change, they legalized it, they put it as law and put it in the constitution. They went and changed the constitution to include that, and made that a way, one of the ways in which a judge can be removed from office if they have not come up with a decision, or presented a decision within 6 months. And he is just shocked to he says that that is one of the issues that bothers him, because here it is that these were a set of ethical guidelines. However, this government took it upon themselves to make it law and to reduce the time, to put pressure on the judges that they must come up with a decision in 6 months. And if they don't, that can be a basis for their removal. So he's really talking about the independence of the judiciary, saying that the judiciary, there is something that is over the judiciary. It's not independent. And worse yet, Nigel, what he's saying, since you didn't hear, is that there were no complaints from the Barbados Bar Association, made any complaints about any judges. So the question is why? Why did they decide to change it? And he was saying that it is, the judiciary is for the benefit of the litigants.
Yes,
Yeah. Go ahead.
I think I heard that little bit.
Yes.
And what I am concerned about is that in the Constitution, not only Barbados' Constitution, but in Constitution's period, there is what is called the separation of powers.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And if the government unilaterally change the conditions of the tenure of any person, but we're dealing with the judge now,
Mm-hmm.
then that is a breach. And it is interfering in the independence and trying to manipulate the independence of the judiciary. And that is where I am also concerned about that, because this government has no respect for constitution, for citizens, for anybody.
Yes.
And we have to be very mindful of that. And it boggles my mind. How is it that Barbadians can sit back and see this government committing constitutional vandalism and then engaging in political gangsterism? For example, the anti-defection bill.
Right. He's going to talk about that. He's going to talk about that. So let's wait till he jumps into that. Let's wait, because he's going to break that down. And I hope listen, those of you who can't hear well, take the thing and put it at your ear. This what was done this evening, what this man did this evening, it is so important. And I don't want us to go and say we never heard. Okay. So caller, I'm going to stop you right there, and because we're going to open it up for you to call in. You can always call in back as how many times you want to call. But let's listen to a little bit more of the Prime Minister. And I think there was a caller as well. So let me get to that caller, and then we're going to go right back to the former Prime Minister. Okay?
Sure. Thank you.
Yes. So guys, we're having an interactive show, and for me, I know definitely when we have hit, when there's something golden has happened, and something golden happened this evening. Something golden happened this evening. This is one of those moments where, like Caswell, right? You would hear a Caswell Franklin, he's speaking, or and this man knows his stuff. This man knows his stuff. I'm gonna call back one of the callers that was calling. Your phone should be ringing now. Vihoy, 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 your phone should be ringing. I know you were calling, and the line was busy. So, folks, we're trying to get a call in right now. Someone who had called. Yes, okay, we have her. Good night, caller. Good night, Vihoy. I know it's you. How are you doing?
Comment on something that Ms. Stork said. He talked about the fact that the judges don't have any help or any support. One of the things that we've talked about on the Marcia Weekes Show was the fact that cases were taking a long time to be called. Now imagine if a judge has all these cases and with no help or no support, what do we expect, right? That cases are going to take 8, 9, 10 years before they're called. So who do we hold accountable? We got to hold the government of Barbados accountable for that. And look, I'm going to go back and I'm going to say something that the caller who called just now talked about. I hold the people of Barbados accountable for this because they're the ones who got to stand up to this government. That is all I have to say.
Yes, yeah, but well, let me just say, caller, you picked up on a very important point there because he said that you have one judge who is sharing secretaries. The judge is not assigned a secretary for him or herself. They have to share secretaries. So obviously, what is going to happen? You're going to have a backlog, and they don't seem to want to fix that. But they went and they meddled. They are making sure that the judiciary, there's no separation of powers there. They're interfering with the judiciary. And when they do that, caller, what happens is that we don't believe we're going to get any justice because we don't even know when the case is going to call, right?
Well, I think last week there was a case in the paper where the person got off. I mean, after waiting, I think they said 7 years, the person got off because now information was not available. People were not available to be called. So, I mean, again, you got to hold government accountable for this. And you got to ask the question, why? Why is an important word to ask when you're asking, why is government doing the things that they're doing?
Yes. Well, thank you so much, caller, and please, you can call in as many times as possible. We in education mode tonight. Thank you.
Yes, we'll do so. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You know, the big question that we need to ask, and some of they're smart enough, right, to understand something, right? And this is a time, Adrian Hines. I hope you could call in, and I hope you could join me. This is a good time for you. I thought about you this evening. But what I'm saying is this, folks, that we need to find out, we need to stop and think. I want Barbadians to think, why is it that after months after getting into power, this was so important for them to go and change the constitution to accommodate this and to put it in law? What about it? You know, because it seems as the former prime minister is saying, it's a meddling with the judiciary. And when you start to do that, what happens is that we don't feel as though we're going to get justice in Barbados. And that is important. And I really want that separation of powers. Right? It's so important. And when you start to meddle with that, months after, you start to deal with that. Okay? The courts, the judges, the magistrates. When you have your hand also in that, do we really have a democracy in Barbados? Do we have another caller? If not, let me go back to yeah, Adrian should be on dissecting this information. Where is Adrian? You have to ask him that. All right. Yeah, thank you. Somebody saying Andrea said they have a whole bunch of consultants but can't give a judge an assistant. You know, that's it. That's it. But let's hear the former PM. Let's hear some more of what he has to say. Turn up if you're just joining. I want you to turn up the volume on your device and go close to it. Take notes. Please listen keenly.
The Democratic Labour Party established an office in Barbados by legislation called the Office of Director of Public Prosecutions. We didn't have one before, and we passed legislation in 1963 to establish the Office of Director of Public Prosecutions. The Director of Public Prosecutions has enormous powers. We can start a criminal prosecution against anybody. If you start a criminal prosecution against anybody, he can come and take it over from you, and you can't refuse it. And he can discontinue a criminal prosecution against anyone. The Director of Public Prosecution. Enormous powers. And the only person who can give him not even instructions, but who is permitted to consult with him on certain matters is the Attorney General, and those certain matters are specifically set out in the Constitution. Barbados has had 7 directors of public prosecutions since the office was established. The first one was not a Barbadian. His name was Sir Wilfred Jacobs. He went on to become governor of Antigua sometime. He was between 1964 and 1966. But the first local director of public prosecutions was Mr. Clifford Husbands, later to become Justice Clifford Husbands, still later to become Justice of Appeal Clifford Husbands, and still later to become Sir Clifford Husbands, Governor General of Barbados. He was the first local director of public prosecutions of Barbados. He served from 1967 until 1976. In 1976, under the Barrow administration, he was appointed a High Court judge. But let me tell you what happened in 1968, the year after he was appointed. He prosecuted Mr. Burton Hines, who was then the Member of Parliament for St. Peter, for criminal libel. That is, a publication that, in his judgment, could cause a disturbance of the peace or create undue animosity and hatred in the society. Justice Husbands, Mr. Husbands, the Director of Public Prosecutions, prosecuted Burton Hines for criminal libel. Grantley Adams, he was not Sir Grantley yet. In fact, he was Sir Grantley. Yeah, he was Sir Grantley, 1968. Sir Grantley Adams was leader of the opposition. And he said, but that prosecution is foolishness. That is an embarrassment. If the director had been honest with himself, he wouldn't do something like that. Now, Sir Grantley was wise enough to make those statements in Parliament. because he was covered by absolute privilege. Nobody could sue him for anything he said. He was saying that in Parliament. The Advocate newspaper reported what Sir Grantley said, but reported it in a way that did not protect the Advocate from a suit in the law courts, because the Advocate was not covered by absolute privilege. It was reporting from the House, but the privilege on the basis of which it was reporting was not absolute, it was only qualified. And the matter was heard. Husband sued the Advocate, and the matter was heard. And the court awarded Clifford Husbands $20,000 in damages. $20,000 in 1968 was a lot of money. The Advocate appealed, but the Court of Appeal did not agree that the award should be disturbed, and therefore, there the matter rested. You might wonder why I told you that story. Now, as I told you, Husband served from 1967 until 1976. In 1976, the same year that Husbands was made a judge, another Husbands was appointed Director of Public Prosecutions, Mr. John Husbands. And he served from 1976 until 1987. And in 1987, when he was appointed a judge, another director was appointed, Mr. Cecil Tulloch. He served from 1987 until 1992. And in 1992, when he was no longer director, the appointment went to Mr. Garvey Husbands, who served from 1992 until 1996, before he became a judge as well. And then in 1997, we had the longest serving Director of Public Prosecutions, Mr. Charles Leacock, who served from 1997 until 2017. And since he died in the second half of 2017, the next director appointed under my administration was Ms. Donna Barb Eargard, who served from 2018 until her appointment as a judge last year, June last year. But you know something? In the by-election campaign of 2025 in St. James North, for some strange reason, I could not understand why. I don't know what it meant, but I knew it meant something. The Prime Minister went on the platform and, as we say in Barbados, called out the Director of Public Prosecutions for discontinuing a prosecution against, I think, 3 young men. As he subsequently explained, the evidence was insufficient, but he had the power to discontinue. I told you already, he can start, he can take over, or he can discontinue. I asked myself, but why would she consider this important at this time? What does this mean? Quietly, the answer has been coming to me. I told you that when Clifford Husbands became a judge in 1976, in the same year, 1976, John Husbands was appointed. I told you when John Husbands became a judge in 1987, in the same year, Garvey Husbands was appointed. And I told you that when Garvey Husbands became a judge in 1996, in just a few weeks or months, Charles Leacock was appointed. Today, as I speak to you at Princess Margaret School, this country has never been without a substantive director of public prosecutions for as long as in the present situation. Barbados does not at present have an appointed director of public prosecution. We have never taken this long before to appoint one. And let me tell you what my worry is. What we cannot afford to have is a director of public prosecutions appointed on contract. Because when you are on contract, you know what happens. You want the contract renewed. The director of public prosecutions, especially in light of all that's going on in Barbados now, needs a free hand. And we therefore want to see a director of public prosecutions appointed in Barbados. We have never done without one for as long as we've done without one on this occasion. That, in my view, is another cause for disquiet in the course of our democracy since 1951. We've never had these problems before. We've never had a prime minister go on a political platform and call out a Department of Public Prosecutions, a constitutionally protected office, as we have had in St. James North in 2025. And we do not have a substantively appointed director of public prosecutions in Barbados. This is the longest time we have done without one, or we've had to do without one. That is worrying. Another nail in the coffin of the rule of law, if it is not corrected and corrected promptly. Independence of the judiciary, now director of public prosecution. And if citizens are not worried about those things, then something is fundamentally wrong with the citizenry. Because these things go to the very root of your capacity to live in this society and to live in peace and quiet and free from molestation, free from persecution, and so on. So, the confidence we used to have in elections, that confidence has been undermined. The judiciary has been under attack. And we have no director of public prosecution.
Folks, wow, this is, I told you, we couldn't let this pass. We could not let this pass. Did you hear what the former PM has said? You might not believe us, but at least believe him. He is a legal luminary. He is a former prime minister. Did you hear what he said about the director of public prosecution? Do you realize that we are operating without a DPP, an appointed DPP? There's no permanently appointed director of public prosecution. After Donna Bob Agard was appointed to the High Court as a judge in 2025, the post became vacant. And it has not been filled. What we have is an acting director of public prosecutions. And the question is, how do we, what are our thoughts about that as Barbadians? We are saying she didn't know all of this. What are our thoughts? He went through the whole history from 1964 to 1966 and went all the way, took us down to where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. We had 7 DPPs. The last one, Donna Bob Agard, we have not had one. We have discussed that on this show, and I want to know, what is it that needs to be done for us to understand the seriousness? Do we understand the role of the DPP? What is the role of the DPP? Do we realize that the DPP needs to be totally independent? When the DPP needs to be independent, because they should not be, involved in political favoritism or be subjected to political persecution or prosecutions. That independent DPP is protected from corruption, the way the whole system is set up. But here comes this government, and this government is piercing that veil, and in my opinion, interfering with the role of the job of the DPP. And I remembered when lawyers, a criminal lawyer, made a big issue about it, but Barbadians went about their business as though it was no problem. Mr. Thorne raised a hell over it. Don't we realize the seriousness of the situation? The reason the DPP needs to be independent, the principle behind it is that every Barbadian should be equal before the law. Right? Every Barbadian should be equal before the law. And when the DPP is independent, it gives that ordinary citizen that reassurance that they will get justice, possibly get justice before the courts. The ordinary citizen is protected, is equal before the law. The government minister, the members of parliament, any business executive, a police officer, everyone should be equal before the law. So there should be no interference politically, no abuse of power. Can the cabinet overrule the DPP? No. The cabinet nor the parliament. They can't. They don't have that authority to overrule. So what was it the prime minister doing? Can the prime minister tell the DPP how to prosecute someone? But we are in a one-party state. Do we see where we're heading here? So the prime minister is now, is it that the prime minister is going to now direct the DPP on how whether to charge someone, to drop charges, delay a prosecution, whether they're going to target a political opponent? According to the Constitution. And guys, the number is there. Call, please, call, please. Correct. They all feel that level of loyalty already to the prime minister, to Mia Mottley. I agree. And then worse, when she is, if it appears as though she is pulling strings. So, folks, the line is open. I'm just talking. Okay, somebody's calling. Good. Good night, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show.
Good night, Marcia. So good to be able to call tonight.
Yes, sir.
Came in late, had to go back and listen to some of what Mr. Stewart, the Honorable Friend Stewart, would have spoken. So I would have been up to date, as it were, with the recent conversation. I've always admired Mr. Stewart for his detailed presentations. We are using Barbados to a lot of emotionalism and so forth. But anytime you listen to Mr. Stewart, you can be guaranteed that you're going to come away with substance.
Mm-hmm.
And I admire him to the point that if you watch him, he speaks very much without notes. Yes, there's some notes that he has, but he's able to deliver dates and names and so forth because he's a brilliant orator. He's one of the best that I've come across in our country. So what he was speaking about just now, I have also felt it very, very worrying. And he has now further helped us to understand the state that we are in because we remember that there was a phone call made, I think, a Sunday night to the
attorney, the Auditor General.
Auditor General.
Yes.
And the Constitution of Barbados prevents any person from interfering in that position. As we speak, I don't think that there's some person appointed as yet.
No.
As the Auditor General.
No.
So we have a situation where we do not have any person appointed as the Director of Public Prosecutor. And therefore, these are two worrying and seriously worrying situations because we do know that when there was the retirement of Commissioner of Police, Erwin Boyce was the Deputy Commissioner of Police at that time. But yet, and not just, he was the most qualified police officer in Barbados at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But the position was given to Richard Boyce, who was way junior.
Yes, I remember you saying that.
Erwin Boyce.
Yes.
Erwin Boyce has subsequently retired. Now we are seeing in today's nation where Richard Boyce is retiring because he's going to be 67 later this year, and only God knows if he'll be brought back as a consultant, because he may very well be brought back as a consultant. Now, the present commissioner, and I applaud her. I am so excited that we have our first female commissioner of police, but she was the deputy commissioner of police. So it's interesting that Richard Boyce was not the deputy commissioner. Erwin Boyce was, but he did not get the position. So if you're looking at any consistency, there's none, because like the minister just said just now, we are now appointing individuals to positions based on a contract of service, and this is crazy in Barbados. It is crazy in Barbados where you have a public officer. You've been working for 30, 40 years. And now when it comes to the position of appointment, you now have to be employed under contract for maybe 6 months, for a year. And therefore, after a year, someone is interviewed and is given the position, and therefore you no longer have a job. We have some frightening situations in Barbados.
Yes, Mr. Strickland.
I'm really appreciative of the knowledge of Mrs. Stewart. But you see, there's a mindset in Barbados, and I remember when Mrs. Stewart spoke at the DLP's branch meeting at North Stars, I think 2 years ago. One of our media personnel or so came out and said that he had no right. He was to address a DLP branch meeting. In other words, you are no longer the prime minister. You are worth nothing. And therefore, you don't have the right to stand up in your own country and address people that have invited you to speak. This is the state that we are in.
That we're in, and with these serious infractions or serious occurrences where we don't have the confidence. The first thing he spoke about, which we couldn't hear properly, was about the having confidence in our elections. We have lost that confidence in our elections. We have seen where the judiciary, where there's no separation to us, is what it appears, separation of powers within the judiciary arm. And here it is, the director of public prosecution. We can remember, when that their decision was being questioned by the prime minister, and they have not appointed any over a year now, and nobody has been appointed as the DPP. Where I agree with you, we are in a serious crisis.
Marcia, we had serious problems with our election. Who was in charge of elections? Our present Leslie is. He is no. So you moved him from the area of the elections where we had mass problems, and he's now over the judiciary.
Over the judiciary.
So
just after, right after the election, then you rewarded him with that position. So how are I mean, this is serious, Carlo. Very, very serious, Mr. Strickland.
Right. So there are a lot of question marks that that we have, and I really applaud you for making his speech this afternoon available to us, because I would never have been able maybe to get in on that presentation. So therefore, I'm really appreciative that we all have been able. I was hearing pretty well. I know it was a bit low, but I heard all of the first presentation, and now
you're hearing now.
To listening to anymore. Okay?
Well, I would love for you to thank you so much for calling and for your very important contribution. And we're going to take one more caller, and then what we're going to do, we're going to go back to it. Feel free to call in as many times as you want to call in. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Well, folks, we have another. I mean, are these things? I mean, is this bothering anybody? I don't know. Anybody listening where you're thinking this is such a travesty? Anybody? I mean, this is, it's amazing, really amazing what we have become as Barbadians. What we have become and what we are allowing. What we are allowing. And I love to know when the elderly, when those senior among us can come and remind us. That's why I love this show. We have a lot of seniors who are watching this show, and they remind me, or they tell me, or they teach me about Barbados and what is so special about Barbados. Well, here's one of them on the line. Mr. Nigel Newton. Give us your thoughts on what you just heard a while ago before we go into the next segment.
With reference to what the former Prime Minister said regarding the judiciary, I accept and agree with what his analysis of the situation, because there has to be a separation of powers in any system of governance. And clearly, the Prime Minister has breached all of those guardrails and is now doing as she feels like. Okay? So with the assault on the DPP, I think Mr. Stewart made a reference to that.
Yes, sir.
I was taken aback at the way the Prime Minister bawled out, so to speak, the DPP in public. And that is a clear violation of the independence of the DPP and a violation of our constitutional order, right? Because the Constitution has given clear guidelines as to how public officers down from the Prime Minister, the Governor General, we have guidelines as to how they must behave.
Yes.
And that was violated when the Prime Minister intervened in the matter relating to the DPP and also with the judges, because you cannot put your judges under that kind of pressure and think that you will have an independent judiciary or that there will be a democracy. And my concern to here, Mr. Stewart made a lot of reference, but in my analysis, Barbados is not a democracy.
Correct.
We are no longer a democracy because a democracy involves more than going to the ballot booth and casting an X on election day.
Yeah.
I call that ballot box democracy. Real democracy is when the government is actively responding to the needs and the wishes of the people. When the people have a say in what should happen to them individually and as a nation. And clearly, since 2018, we have been suffering from what I called some time ago a constitutional hiatus. That is back when the election was called or concluded in 2018, May 25th, 2018, and we realized that there was no elected member of parliament to sit as the leader of the opposition. That was the time for us to take stock of what is happening and nip it in the bud.
Yes. Well, caller, I'll give you another minute to make your point, and remember you can call in as many times as possible. But we want to go back to listen, so I'll give you another minute, Nigel, to complete. Go right ahead.
Okay, I can let you go, but the point is, though, Marcia, is that we should have corrected that constitutional hiatus way back then. The legal fraternity,
yes,
the academic community at KFL, in conjunction with the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, should have met and analyzed the implications of not having a leader of the opposition. Rather than doing that, Barbadians failed to elect a leader of the opposition in 2022 and 2026. Hence, no democracy.
Yes. Thank you so much for calling, Mr. Newton, and feel free to call back. Right, but we're going to delve in a little bit more. If you aren't saddened, thank you so much, Mr. Newton. We appreciate your calls. Thank you. You know, I'm grateful for Mr. Strickland and Mr. Newton for calling in. Anybody, if you want to call in, we had a caller before, right? It was Mr. Newton again. I think I had, just feel free to call in, express yourself. Listen to this. It's so sad. It is very, very sad. But let's listen to some more. So if you're taking notes, he's talking about, let me put the banner up for those of you who are just joining, the state of politics in Barbados. This is the Right Honorable Frondell J. Stewart, QC, is a former PM of Barbados, and he has outlined his concern about confidence in the election process. That is something that should be of serious concern to Barbadians. He talks about the judiciary and the non independence, or that it should be independent, but it doesn't appear to be independent. And now he's talking about the DPP, where the Prime Minister was publicly criticizing the DPP's decision on a particular case. The office of the DPP, and the fact that we do not have an appointed DPP now going on probably near a year. So and those are, he says, these are very important issues that go to the heart of our democracy. in Barbados. So let's continue to hear what is on his heart.
And then we had the anti-defection bill passed in the House of Assembly. Corey Guinness said some of the laws that are passed make sense and others don't. And he's right about that. In fact, very few make sense. Anti-defection. Now, let me say this. The Democratic Labour Party has been at various times the victim of defections from the DLP to the other side. We've had two recent ones. I'm sure that those two names are very much in the forefront of your minds as I raise this point. When they were on our side, they were accused of every evil thing under the sun. And I, as I should, as chairman of the cabinet, defended them to the hilt. And if I had to do it again, I would. Because if you're accusing a man of corruption and bribery, if you say that a man bought a $4 million house in Rolling Hills and that you check his salary and his wife's salary, and when you put the two of them together, they could not get a mortgage to support buying any $4 million house in Rolling Hills. You must know what you're talking about. I did not know. But I defended my ministers as I should, and if I had to do it again, I would do it. For a simple reason. When it comes to corruption, I don't know where to look or what to look for. But I have no expertise in that area. So I don't know where to look. No, I don't know what to look for. If you say to me that Tom Brown is corrupt, I assume that you know what you're talking about and you know where to look and what to look for. I have no expertise in that area at all. For me, I came up in a modest little country church. I know Psalm 23 and Psalm 27 and John 3:16. Nobody ever schooled me in corruption, so I don't know where to look or what to look for. So if you know where to look and you know what to look for, and you can make those allegations, hip, hip, hooray. But I have to defend my ministers because I don't know what to look for or where to look. But we suffer defections. And because of this 30 Love virus, when the Reverend Joseph Atherley thought that 30 Love was wrong and decided that he was going to undo it, because it was so aggressive a virus, an election was called early to make sure that it was restored. Then after Joseph Atherley, Ralph Thorne thought it was wrong, and he thought he would undo it by crossing the floor. An election was once again called early to restore that 30 Love. So the code is 30 Love. Now, I read the legislation, this anti-defection legislation. It really caused me some horrors, I have to confess. This legislation says that if a man is expelled from his party or if he resigns, The leader is to let the speaker know. This is about party business, you know. The leader is to let the speaker know, the speaker of the house, and the speaker makes a declaration that the person has been expelled or has resigned, and the person has 14 days within which to start legal proceedings to contradict the speaker's declaration. And well, if he does not meet the 14 days, then the allegations are taken as true, and he has to give up his seat in the House of Assembly. If he meets the 14-day requirement, he has to stop performing as a parliamentarian, as an MP, until such time as his case is determined. If it is determined in his favor, he is restored. If it is not determined in his favor, he has to resign. But if he crosses the floor, he has to vacate his seat. That is what the legislation. Now, I got admitted to the bar in 1984. So I've been a lawyer for a little while now. I was leader of the bar at one stage as Attorney General, and I am a senior at the bar by designation. I happen to know that it doesn't matter which political party you run for, and you win. The person who appoints you as an MP is the head of state. You can't step in that parliament and do anything until you go before the head of state and you are sworn in by the head of state. And because the head of state is supposed to be above party politics, you are not tainted by partisanship once the head of state appoints you. You are there to serve the people of Barbados once the head of state appoints you to sit in the House of Assembly. Or in the Senate, for that matter. But you can't go in there and sit down and say anything until the head of state appoints you and gives you the permission to go and represent that you are an MP. Now, in the legislation that I read, no mention is made of the head of state at all, you know. He does the appointing, but no mention is made of him. It is the leader, the party leader, and the speaker that has all this power. And if a man crosses the floor, he has to vacate his seat. Nobody says how he has to vacate it, because if the head of state appointed him, only the head of state can ask him to vacate it. And this foolishness is past Barbados and passed in Barbados. Let me make one other important point, comrades and friends. Before a man becomes an MP, before he even joins a political party, he is the beneficiary of all the fundamental rights and freedoms in the Constitution of Barbados. Freedom of speech, freedom of association, freedom of conscience, freedom of religion, and all the other freedoms that are contained in Chapter 3 of the Constitution of Barbados, the fundamental rights and freedoms. I think I see Mr. Kenneth Best in this audience. At the beginning of every session of Parliament, the Speaker of the House of Assembly claims all of the undoubted rights and privileges for the members of the House. those undoubted rights and privileges and immunities include freedom of speech, freedom of association, freedom of conscience. If somebody now comes along and says that you cannot exercise those rights, it means that you're flying in the face of the Constitution of Barbados, where those rights are enshrined and protected. I understand all the party feeling and so on, but we have to get down to the root of things. Every one of you on here this evening has freedom of speech, freedom of association, freedom of conscience, freedom of religion, freedom from forced labor, all that. You don't have to become an MP to get those things. In fact, when you join a political party, you are in fact showing that you're enjoying your freedom of association. Parliament does not contract people's rights. Parliament enlarges them. So even though you have freedom of speech, Parliament says you can go in there and speak and nobody can sue you for defamation. It enlarges the right of freedom of speech. Parliament also says one of the rights the Speaker claims for parliamentarians is freedom from arrest for any civil matter. All those rights are protected. And you have a situation where a government of Barbados comes and says that if a man appointed by the head of state crosses the House, even to become an independent, not to join another party, even to become an independent, because he disagrees with his party, he has to give up his seat. Well, Shakespeare's Mark Antony would say, "Oh, judgment, thou art fled to brutish beasts, and men have lost their reason." What madness is that? The independence delegation that left Barbados in 1966 to go to England was led by Errol Barrett, had Cameron Tudor on it, Frank Walcott, the Attorney General Hilton Vaughan, Philip Graves. I think Philip Graves is the only living member of that delegation today. All the others have been called to higher service. Its legal advisors were Dennis Williams, who subsequently became Chief Justice of Barbados. And its external advisors were Sir Roy Marshall, a distinguished Barbadian legal scholar, and Professor Keith Patchett, who played a leading role in setting up the law faculty at Cape Hill. They were the persons who advised the government when that constitution was being put together. The Attorney General Hilton Vaughan and Dennis Williams were the local advisors, and Roy Marshall and Keith Patchett were the external advisors. Even the opposition parties had legal advisors too. Ernest Dayton Motley, who was leader of the Barbados National Party, used to be called the Progressive Conservative Party, and before that, the Electors Association. He had three different names at different times. Had a crisis of identity. They had legal advisors too. Mr. Henry Ford advised the leader of the Barbados Labour Party at the time, Mr. Freddie Miller. He led the Barbados delegation. And Mr. Jack Deere, distinguished Barbadian QC, got called to higher service as well. He advised Mr. Motley and his Barbados National Party. They all agreed, Motley, Miller, Barrow, Tudor, all of them agreed, that the Constitution of Barbados should have nothing at all to do with political parties. So there has been no mention of political party in the Barbados Constitution from 1966 until this piece of legislation was passed. The Constitution is above political parties. Parliament does not take cognizance of political parties. And the Constitution doesn't either. But once again, we have a situation where no tradition is considered sacred in Barbados. You can violate any. You have like some kind of political iconoclast, you can destroy every icon around. And nobody says anything. There is something fundamentally wrong in this country that has to be fixed. It has to be fixed. We cannot continue to accept these things as though we don't know any better. These things have to be fixed. The Democratic Labour Party, this party, has work to do. These things have to be fixed. If political party disputes are now being settled in the Parliament of Barbados, something is wrong. If I expel a member or a member resigns from my party, he got to resign in the House, what matters is that? That's party business. But that has been allowed to pass with very little comment in this country. But that's another nail. That's another nail in the democracy that was so hard fought for in the period leading up to 1951. That piece of legislation was introduced by Grantley Adams. He wasn't Sir Grantley yet, 1951. But it was really fought for by the late Winter Algernon Crawford, who was a member of Parliament for St. Philip from 1940 until 1966. Crawford, I've said it over and over again, could never live with the fact that he won the seat in St. Philip in 1940 by getting 115 votes. That tells you how many people could vote. If a man could win a seat by getting 115 votes in a whole parish, that tells you how many people in the parish could vote. And he determined to fight it until universal adult suffrage was introduced in Barbados in 1951. Hilary Beckles' History of Barbados makes the point that Crawford was the real aggressive advocate of this. That Grantley Adams seemed a little reluctant sometimes, but of course he was glad to introduce the bill when it came. Read Hilary Beckles' History of Barbados. So this democracy that we fought so hard for, and we got the first glimmer of hope around in 1951, and that we managed maturity until very recent, is now, I can tell you, under attack. Democracy dies behind closed doors. It dies in dark places. And you have to keep an eagle eye out for all of these seemingly innocuous changes taking place around you, when in fact, when they all add up, you're living in a Barbados that is changed, and you can't even recognize what has been changing. So that is my third area of concern, that anti-defection legislation. That has to be fixed. You don't get the right, you don't get your right to the freedom of association taken away and just sit back and do nothing about it. Your freedom of speech. And that is what has happened with that legislation. I was sick to the stomach, comrades and friends, when I sat and listened to the vote being taken in that debate, on that measure. And I heard all the I. Everybody saying yes. And I said, well, what is this? Do they know that they are really handing away rights that belong to them in the Constitution of Barbados? You know, I did a little classics when I was at school. The Roman Emperor Tiberius, whenever he went to consult with his senators, and he watched them bowing and scraping before him, toadying up to him, as he walked away, as he left the Senate, he would say, in Latin, of course, O homines, ad servitutem paratus. These men, so ready to be slaves. He couldn't believe that men could be so ready to be slaves. And that is precisely what we see in Barbados. Men giving away their rights. Look, the Democratic Labour Party in 1963 passed the Parliament Immunities, Privileges, and Powers Act to cement the rights of parliamentarians. Men said they didn't want them. Give the Prime Minister, we don't want them. What is this? This has to be fixed. And there is nobody else who is going to fix it but the Democratic Labour Party. So that is the anti-defection law. So we dealt with elections, we dealt with the DPP, we dealt with anti-defection.
Well, guys, wow. My goodness, this is getting better and better. I tell you, you you should be all getting ready to call now. This is your time. You've got to call in. The man says democracy dies behind closed doors, or democracy in Barbados is hiding behind is dying behind closed door. It's dying in dark places. This is why we need the seniors among us. We need the elders among us. We need those who are not going to be swayed by a red shirt and some drinks and some walk up and some fete. We're going into a period of fetting. That's all we do. Yes, I have a caller. Good night, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show. Yes.
Make a contribution, but let me learn on my system.
Yes,
Okay.
lower your system. Thank you so much. Thank you for knowing that. Guys, it's not too late to share up the live. If you've just joined, share up the live, please. Take a moment to share the live, please, so that others, we can all just eat up this table tonight. Go right ahead, caller. You still need to turn it down a bit. I'm hearing myself.
Okay, I'll go again.
Yes, take it all the way off. Turn it all the way off. Guys, in the meantime, please share. Please like and share. Please like it. Have you joined? Have you liked yet? Have you liked the show yet? Please like and share. Go ahead, caller. Thank you for calling.
Yes.
Go right ahead.
Yes. What I'm saying is this: Barbarians need to wake up. Too long we have fallen asleep. Our democracy has been upstairs for a long time. I remember in the 90s when Jack Deere and those were the big boys of the day in politics. They said that they was going to teach Barbadians the Constitution, as Mr. Short said. Barbadians need to be educated in civics.
Yes.
We throw out the baby with the bathwater. And when they brought that at the University of the West Indies at night, they had a meeting. They said they can teach Barbadians the Constitution. And I got up and said, you all will not teach Barbadians the Constitution because the average small man in the streets. Martin, if you take a copy of the Constitution and hold it in front of 12 Barbadians after what it is, they do not know. Many Barbadians don't know what the Constitution states in Barbados. They made constitutional reforms, and if you go back and look at some of the constitutional reform, you will see what's going on. We asked when they hold the joint committee in Parliament, they have the committee.
Yes, sir.
We asked for the recall of parliamentarians if they are doing wrong, and that was ignored. Right? Remember only the same Mr. David Simmons who sat down the High Court. We go back the election in 20 when Sir Haynes was made he was the chairman, the Electoral and Boundaries Commission. When the lady went to court, when the non-voter, the outside citizens was allowed to vote.
Yes.
And they extended that day, and it was drawn out. Where Joseph and some of them was allowed to vote. These people said they were citizens of Barbados. You know? So we have gone sleep. We have gone sleep. As the former Prime Minister has said, we need to read the Constitution, teach Barbados the Constitution. We still operating under the 1966 Constitution. They talk bragging about 5 years of Republic. Where's the Republic Constitution? You know? And many of the scholars who came from poor homes, I admire Mr. Short. Many of our scholars, lawyers, and those do not come back to the society market to give up their will to help teach Barbadians the Constitution and their rights. Look at the Employment Rights Commission. Right? Where the tribunal? Where is it? People have cases before the tribunal. You know? Judges and those. So we say no big work, all the big works come to one person. Marcia, there are things that I would like to say. Look at the Waterford development, which renegated for votes. You take from the bell back down to Waterford, and you pass through Waterford to see the amount of squatters that is given land, water, to cast votes. You go on the airport, the same thing happened. What is happening to Barbados that we all fall asleep or we get the dose of medicine that we cannot refuse.
Yeah.
All Barbadians want is party, free music, walk up, drink, and food, and feel good.
Yeah.
And then we are sorry. What are we sorry about?
Yeah.
You know, the hotel people used to say, if you lie down with dogs, you get they what?
Please.
Please. Right? So what do you expect? But a lot of people get frightened because they have to speak. They feel they're victimized. They can't have a job. Their families can't have jobs. You know? And all of us go sleep with one thing, get up in the morning, you're sorry. Many of us can't go to the supermarket and we are now feeling, why murmur? We had two chances. We had two chances to correct our mistake. The said Prime Minister said she didn't want the opposition, and this is what Barbadians hang on to.
Yes, yes. And
No,
look at us.
Huh?
Look at us now. I mean, she said we didn't need it. She said we didn't need an opposition.
We didn't need no opposition. Even in Mr. Short time. You know? So a lot of people in Barbados need to be educated. Their civics need to be taught in school. As I said, we all have these centers, the social centers and those. They have retired Barbados justices and all them. Give some of those people a stifle and educate some more people. That's why we are full of crime.
Yeah, that's what's happening. Well, caller, thank you for calling. And how can you tell me, remind the viewers, how old are you?
I'm not going there. I'm not going there. I was following the politics from a boy.
Yeah, I
I'm not
know,
going
I
there.
know, and you know what?
I
We appreciate you. We appreciate the seniors because with you guys, we get to learn a lot, you know, and that's what Mrs. Stewart is doing tonight, and what your call is doing. So thanks again for calling.
I will talk to you another time. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you. Our seniors are calling in. This is wonderful, wonderful. I missed a call, so I'm going to okay, I have a caller is calling. Good night, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show.
Say good night to you, Sister Marcia.
Yes, can you speak up a little bit? Can you hear the caller? And just let me know if you can hear the caller. Thank you so much. Go right ahead, caller.
Yes. I have you ever seen educated sheep digging their own grave?
Well, they said sheep don't have much sense, so they could be educated and digging their graves.
Well, you see, there's something that the former Prime Minister said tonight that I was truly questioning. Imagine we have a government with the majority of learned men,
Mm-hmm.
men, men and women who went to university to learn law, something that I have not even learned. Some of them learn constitutional law, but yet still they're saying I to giving up their freedom of association.
Yes.
It doesn't make sense to me. So what you mean you're following the leader? You'd rather follow the leader than follow the constitution?
That's dangerous. I remember when he said that. Imagine all of them sat there and they just agreed to their own demise, basically taking away all their rights, and they said yes to it. Think about it. And those are the people, who are supposed to be representing us. But continue, caller.
Exactly. But I always say that a crowd does not have any sense. Joseph was put in a well because of the decision of one person. Jesus was crucified because of the decision of one person. Crucify him. Everybody starts saying crucify him. You know what I mean? One person said give up your rights, and everybody say, yeah, let me give up our rights. But we have more sense than this, all right?
Yes.
One person says give up your arm, and we refuse to give up our arms. One person said give up your freedom of speech when it comes to the cybercrime bill and such like. But there's some who are going to say not but here.
Yes. Agree.
So I'm very glad that we have a former Prime Minister,
yes,
who is not reading by a script, but he is reading from his, but he's still in his mind. He's still in his right mind.
Yes.
So all who come to the conclusion that we have a lost generation, or that's what they're saying. What I find happening, though, I'm going to close on this, though. What I find happening is that we have to be very careful of leaders who does not want us to listen to the more learned, to the past experiences, to cause us to hate them so much that when they have to speak, we don't want to hear it anymore. A lot of people say they don't want to hear a story anymore. But look at the wisdom that's coming from this man. And I doubt very much that a lot of BLP stalwarts would sit down and listen to what this man have to say, all because of what somebody else say about this man.
Mm-hmm.
We have to wake up and smell the coffee, or not we can be saying yes like the 20.
Yes, or the 20, the 28, because I know that Sonia abstained. But I loved what you just said, that we've allowed them to tell us that we should not listen to people like Stewart, because this is like Animal Farm, this is because they
Exactly.
know that these are the people that could put the country right back on track. So we're not to listen. That's one of the reasons I had a full program planned. A full program. I went on the streets, I went into the oil fields, and I had all that stuff from St. Andrew to show tonight. But when I heard just about 30 minutes of him, I said, no way. We have to sit at his feet tonight and listen and learn. So, caller, I so agree with you. We will not allow them. But, caller, I love what you said there. Barbadians need to make up your minds. Do not allow them to tell you who you are to listen to and who you are not to listen to. Do not allow them to tell you. And I'm telling you, I'm gonna take this thing and get the editors to cut it up in as many pieces and send it all over. People will never say they did not hear the former PM. But let me give you a minute. I took up some of your time. Continue, caller. Take 1 minute, and then we have to go back to Mr. Stewart.
Yeah, I want to take a minute to say this. You see the 30-0. The 30-0 says, should we listen to the 30? And I say no. 0 no.
0 no. No, we're not going to listen. Yeah. This is like a good plate of food. Thank you so much. There's a caller coming in. Okay, thank you. Callers, feel free to you can call back, All right, but there's one here that's calling right now. Let me go and get this call. Thank you, caller. Good night, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show. Can you turn down any device you're listening to me on so that we can we want to hear what you have to say, and we're happy that you've called.
Good night.
Yes, good night. You're on. Yes, you speak up. Go right ahead, please, Commissioner. Welcome.
Good night. I still call him the Honorable Sandel Jerome Stewart. Good night. I call you. I met you the day that David Thompson when he came back from Grenada. I came back here in 2000. It was 20. Okay. I came back here in 1999.
Mm-hmm.
Then met George and George Street with David.
Okay.
Yeah. And before I go any further, Nicholas Braffett met me at them. So I follow Mr. Stewart, etc., that whole crowd. I'm not changing. Now, there's a saying I remember that always say, I wasn't there that in after. Long live the revolution, but long live Senator Stewart, former Prime Minister Mr. Stewart. He is a political historian. I remember when he was attacked that meeting in St. Peter. Carry on. Now I sent you a video, Marcia, and there's a man in there called Tillman Thomas. The NDC didn't dump him until he go home, this and that kind of thing. He's still like, he did it, but I can't call it. But every granny knew and something, always have something to say. I remember when they called him they had a name for the black crowd gave the caller old guard. I remember they called Mr. Old guard when they don't stand home. But in the NDC, they couldn't tell Uncle Tillman is the old guard. He's walk with him. He just walk with him. Look, I'm going back to something like that missed me. When they talk about Look, this is frightening. Now, look what we do just when he comes to. I can tell you why. Do you remember the time when they went down the farm? The farmhouse in the area. Many phone calls were made. And they went down the farm. I ain't gonna call in there because I want to shut down the farm. Barbados now the one called Democracy gone to West Bay Cemetery. At Christchurch Graveyard. I don't want to shut down me.
Yes, no problem. But to get to the point, yes, we have 2 minutes and then we got to move. We want to hear some more of him. Go ahead.
And our policeman, like, things to call him a boy in the yard. Or, I don't call back.
No, finish your point.
Finish it?
Yeah, finish your point. Can you finish in a minute?
Gaslit me.
Oh, it slipped you. The point slipped you. But the point is that you're enjoying the show. You're enjoying.
And I hope by tomorrow, when he gets it then, I hope the same meeting about Princess Margaret is on YouTube, and I could watch it. Probably I don't know the YouTube people boost up the sound.
Yeah, we're gonna try to do some work on it and then put it back out. Okay, so yeah, so you look for it.
We don't know from the party headquarters what they would do.
Correct, but I don't know about that. But I can tell you that we are going to try to do something to the sound so that.
And as soon as we get it, I got something. My son showed me something. I can save that. And
Yes.
I'm taking that speech to me. I'm taking that speech with me at St. George Parish Church.
Yes.
Well, just the ashes, dust to dust.
Yes.
I got some entertainment with me and my grave at night.
Well, caller, thank you for calling, and we're going to take one more call, and then we're going to go back to the speech. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, so got it, Dennis Johnson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, he gone.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you. All right. We're going to take another caller, and then we're going to go right back into the speech. If you're just joining us, we are watching the Honorable, the Right Honorable Frondell J. Stewart, QC, and he's a former PM of Barbados. And he is speaking at the branch meeting for the St. Phillips South. And so we have, okay, caller, I don't know what's happening in the background. There's a lot of noise.
I'm not sure if we could do anything about it.
Okay, well, go ahead, caller. Thank you so much for calling. Thank you.
Okay. I sat and listened to the show, and I'm almost lost for words. How they have eroded and continue to erode the pillars of democracy in every way possible, so that 30 people could stand up and say yes to becoming slaves. The public account, the guy, what is it again?
The DPP.
Yes. How they have not over a year, because this June, have not appointed someone permanently. And then the other position that's also important, the Auditor General.
The Auditor General, yes.
They have not put someone there.
Correct.
There are so many, and they're, in my opinion, are appointing judges to suit themselves. And I think, this is just my opinion, that is causing our lawyers to be careful so that their cases are not thrown out. So they don't lose cases that ordinarily they could have won. So they're playing a dangerous game and taking complete control of this nation. And I have 28 persons to agree with them in getting it done. My question is, I heard Mr. Stewart saying, he did say that the DLP is going to do some correcting of the issues, but I don't know what authority or power they have presently to make such changes. I know he's addressing it and several others are doing so, but what legal power do we have that can literally deal with these issues? Do we have a leg to stand on?
Yeah, I think what I mean, at presently, no, you would have to change the government. If the government is changed, then the laws you can go in. I think that's where the discussion is going, that you really need a change of government in order to get the laws changed.
And in my view, this third 1, 2, 3 election was not democratically done. So with them being in power, they can easily continue to erode democracy even at the election at the polls.
Yeah, correct. Well, I mean, if they keep, because that's one of the things. That's one of the things. Remember, he is stating some of he's talking about the state of politics in Barbados, and he talks about a lack of confidence in the electoral process. He talked about the interference or the non-independence of the judiciary. Caller. Oh boy, caller. We have to end the call. It gets into my head. But caller, thank you for calling. There's a noise coming through. Yes, all right, no problem. But very good points. Very good points. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, there's a noise there that is coming through. I was just so the good point. I'm just summarizing what he was talking about tonight, and he talked about the judiciary, lack of independence of the seemingly lack of independence of the judiciary, the DPP, where the DPP has been openly criticized by the Prime Minister about a case that was decided on. Which is unheard of in a democracy. And he's now talking about the anti-defection laws. Let's hear what else he has on his mind tonight. Oh, let's hear what else he has on his mind before we go back to the phone lines. Okay.
Then sometime in 2024, all these things have happened in Barbados. I'm just trying to paint a picture for you of what has happened before your very eyes, but you didn't realize what was happening. There's a piece of legislation that is at present causing a lot of outrage in the United Kingdom, certainly amongst lawyers. Trial by judge alone in criminal cases. Same arguments that were used there have been used here. It will help to get rid of the backlog. That's what they say. So, an accused person now has the right to, when he's arraigned, to say whether he wants to be tried by a judge alone or by jury. And the theory is, so they say, that if he elects to be tried by judge alone, that will help with the backlog. The lawyers in England say that is madness. They don't have any time with that foolishness. But the law has been passed here already. Now, trial by jury is not a gift from anybody. Before we got to trial by jury, let me tell you what used to happen to establish guilt or innocence. there used to be something called trial by ordeal. So, if you wanted to establish your innocence, you had to agree to have a red hot iron put in your hands and to walk a certain distance with it. And if after you walk the distance with it, your hand did not suffer any major damage, you were presumed to be innocent. Or you were asked to walk on a red hot iron. And if your feet were not damaged, you were supposed to be innocent. But if your hands or your feet were damaged, then you were guilty. Red hot iron. Now you know what happens to you if you just pass and touch a hot saucepan by chance. But this is a red hot iron men had to walk with in order to establish their innocence. That was trial by ordeal. There was also the ordeal of having your hand put in boiling water with the same outcome. If your hand wasn't harmed, you're innocent. If it was harmed, you're guilty. Or you were thrown into the water, thrown into cold water now. If your body sank, you were innocent. If it floated, you were guilty. So that was trial by ordeal. When that turned out to be not as effective as people thought it should be, there was a transition to trial by battle. So, you want to establish your innocence, you were given a shield and a cudgel, and another man was given a shield and a cudgel. And he had to fight as though you were the bitterest enemies ever. Whoever got tired first, I had to give up. If you got tired first and had to give up, you were guilty. If you outstayed your opponent, you were innocent. Trial by battle. And then there was trial by what was called compurgation. You want to prove your innocence, you had to find a number of people who were prepared to come and take oaths, called compurgators, to establish your innocence. And you had to find the number that your accusers insisted on. If you couldn't find them, you're guilty. All of that happened before we worked our way to something called trial by jury. And trial by jury, as has been pointed out in the British Parliament over and over again on this issue, and it's being pointed out by the British Bar, trial by jury has worked, and worked very well. But now we're being told it's backlogged, so we may as well sacrifice it for trial by judge alone. An accused man who's being tried by jury helps to choose the jury. If he has to choose to be tried by a judge alone, he can choose to be tried by a judge alone, but he don't choose the judge. But again, this backlog talk has overtaken the public discourse, and that has gone on as well as though quite hard. Jury trials were an affirmation of democracy. It was an increment to democracy. Getting back to one-man trial is a subtraction from democracy. That has passed as well. No debate. Body happy. And we go happily along. And the lilies of the valley that came in 2018 continue to have their own way. The lilies of our Barbadian valley. These things have to be. Now, the state of our politics is not only limited to those things. This democratic outfit that we've been wearing is being quietly stripped away from us without any protest from us. We are treating it as some kind of costume that you put on for a particular time and when ready, take it off and throw it one side. Democracy is continuous and must reflect itself in every area of your life. It is the method by which people who are deemed to be politically relevant influence the decision-making process. There was a time when people who had property or worked for a certain income were the only politically relevant people in Barbados. They influenced the decision-making process. After Crawford's struggles, there was a time when you had to be age 21 to be politically relevant in Barbados. Then people at age 21 and over influenced the decision-making process. And then in time for the 1971 general election, the Democratic Labour Party decided that if you are age 18 or over, you are politically relevant and can influence the decision-making process. That is what we have done for this country. All of the confusion you see around you here in Barbados has an explanation. I said somewhere recently that it feels like a lifetime, but it is only 8 years at Barbados Labour Party. Only 8 years. Not even two full parliamentary terms yet. At the Ministry of Health, since 2018, we've had first Mr. Jeffrey Bostic as Minister of Health. Then we had Mr. Ian Goodinegel along with Dr. Brown, ministers in the health ministry. Then we had Dr. Walcott and Mr. Davison Ishmael, ministers in the Ministry of Health. And now we have, what's her name, Lisa, coming. So that's 1 and 2, 3 and 2, 5, 6 ministers in 8 years in the Ministry of Health. 6 ministers in 8 years in the Ministry of Education. First, Ms. Bradshaw. Then, Ms. Kay McConney. That's 2. Then we had Ms. Sandra Husbands and Mr. Chad Blackman. That's 4. And of course, we still have Chad Blackman and Sandra there, but they're, for all practical purposes, new ministers because they had to be reappointed by the head of state. Public Works and Transport. We started with William Duguid. Then we moved to Sandy Bradshaw. Then we're now at Mr. Humphrey. Oh, he was at transport too? Okay, right. So that's four then. Four in 8 years. I can't remember the names of them. And you can go through them ministry by ministry by ministry. All these personalities, there's something called busy inertia in this government. Busy inertia. Everybody busy and nothing ain't happening. Whenever I've watched them, I am reminded of what a historian said about the government of the Austrian Empire in the 19th century. He said the government of the Austrian Empire is so sweetened by negligence and frivolity that it has become slow, secret, arbitrary, and confused. He said it's wrapped in such layer upon layer of formalism that it seems screened off from the spirit of improvement. And that is what we see around us every day. And we must begin to ask questions about these things. Of course, I wouldn't advise you to ask the governor of the central bank because you may end up with the unchiseled, repellent, and disdainful put down that journalist recently suffered at his hands. But all of this confusion, this busy inertia, and nothing is happening. The new minister with responsibility for crime has announced a number of things. He is establishing a gun court. He said the government is committed to reclaiming the streets. Now, reclaiming the streets means you lost them before. You don't reclaim something that you already have. You have lost them, so you're not going to reclaim them. And in the meanwhile, while all of that talk is going on, citizens, whenever they meet one another, their parting words are, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, be safe. Because there's a consciousness in the country that anything can happen to anybody anytime. So it has now become routine to say to people, be safe. So socially, we are in a state of confusion as well. While the narrative is that all is well, that we're living in a sunlit environment, the actual experiences of people say otherwise. Reflect that recently one of the public officials, the lady who used to be in charge of what used to be called the National Task Force on Crime Prevention, it has another name now because that's the other thing. We change names very often. Don't forget, she announced in the front page story that 240 young men lost their lives by violent crime between 2019 and at the time of her speech. 240. This is the one that lost their lives. This doesn't say the ones that got wounded but have survived. So that is not the whole crime picture. But that is the nature of her loss. And then when you come to economic matters, this story is no different. There's been all this growth 20 consecutive quarters of growth. The economy is doing well. That's what we are told. But the actual lived experience of the average household is something completely different. When you go to shore pay, you don't meet the economy there. When you go to the Barbados Water Authority, there's no economy there. The economy is doing too well to be there. You got to be there because you're doing well. And this fiction continues to characterize our politics in Barbados today. And it has to be smashed, this fiction. It does not reflect the reality that all of us in this room experience in this country. It just does not. And therefore, we know as a party what kind of work we have to do. The lilies of the valley have not delivered what they said they were going to deliver. There was supposed to be this new heaven and this new earth after May 2008. Well, the book of Revelation talks about St. John the Divine said he saw a new heaven and a new earth, but the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. Well, for us, there's still sea because we have to get offshore islands, but they ain't come yet. The offshore islands that we were promised have not yet come. So, the lilies have not delivered. And I think that I should wind up what I have to say. I should let William Shakespeare have that. Shakespeare said in one of his poems, I don't want to quote the whole poem, said the summer flower is to the summer sweet. Though to itself, it only live and die. But if that flower base infection meet, the basest weed outbraves his dignity. And these are the two critical lines now. For sweetest things turn sourest by their deeds. And lilies that fester smell far worse than weeds. Lilies that fester smell far worse than weeds. And that's the reality with which we are dealing in Barbados over the last 8. Lilies that fester smell far worse than weeds. I thank you very much.
Folks, what a class tonight. What a class act. Honestly, what a class act tonight. Already people are calling. People are calling. I was trying to get that little piece of Shakespeare in. I was trying to find it. It says, I love these kinds of things. For sweetest things turn sourest by their deeds. Lilies that fester smell far worse than weeds. Lilies that fester smell far worse than weeds. Wow. Good night, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show.
Hi, good night, Marcia.
Good night. Have you been listening to the Right Honorable Floodland Stewart?
Thank you very much for being able to replay that because I missed most of it. And I have just one phrase. The explain is to expose. And tonight, every single Barbadian voter should be given an opportunity to listen to Mr. Stewart. I'm going to tell you why. And tonight proves why that they do not want him to be heard.
Yes.
Because he will expose them. So they're using a narrative by their pollsters and the talk show hosts all across social media platforms that nobody wants to hear from that sort. Because if he exposes them any further, the Barbadian people are going to deal with them in a very serious way. And that is why they want to keep him quiet. Unfortunately, that kind of narrative has infiltrated the party that I support. And they are fearful.
I know who I'm talking to. This is Miss. I know who I'm talking to now.
They are fearful because the narrative seems to be taken over. And I'm saying that you can't keep that kind of history. They were exposed, this government was exposed a little bit tonight by Fonda Short.
A lot.
And it brought a lot of things into focus. And we have reached a stage where are we going to allow that or the stalwarts of the Democratic Labour Party to be given a voice only because the Mayor Motley government decides that she is going to confer a ministry, bring them into the party, or offer Mr. Short something to make him relevant? Is that where we are? She took two politicians and now they've become the face of international business. The never person has become the face of crime fighting in Barbados. So as Barbadians, are we waiting for the Motley and her government to confer some special award to Mr. Stewart for we to be comfortable listening to him?
And you know, there's something that you said there that even his own party, they have believed that narrative. Even the party, the DLP party, has been, look at this man tonight. And, you know, the party, when you have drunk that red Kool-Aid, that is what happens. And I think Barbados need to resist that. And this platform, I will tell you this caller, and I know who this caller is, but I will tell you, let me tell you this caller, as long as God gives me breath, Mr. Stewart has a place on this platform because, caller, I had a whole show planned.
Yes.
I had a full show planned. I was out in the in St. Andrew, the hills of St. Andrew yesterday. I was coming to show you about the oil and what I promised. We you know, we had stuff from Ronnie Clark at the tent, all of these things. But when like 30 minutes before I came to the show, I started to listen to him. I'm like, no way. We have to hear him. Jason was supposed to come on tonight, and thank God he says that he will come on another time. But we had to listen to Mr. Stewart tonight. So I don't know where they're getting this nonsense from.
And we have a load, and he gives a snippet of the EC voters, and the people who are not voting are given the right to vote and make a decision on government at 18 years old. He gave us a lesson of what government, what party allowed 18-year-olds to have the right and a say in the political future of Barbados. And we have them thinking, and we have a lot of people are younger believe that politics only started in 2018. But I'm glad he has described it in such a way. And I just put in the red lilies are no smelling.
Write it and send it to me. He said, for sweeter things turn sorrows by their deeds. Lilies that fester smell far worse than weeds. And you say what?
The red lilies are no smelling.
The red lilies are no smelling. This man is a boss, I tell you. And I can't.
They want to keep silent. I want people to understand. There is a narrative. I want people to understand what has happened to Barbadian politics and why they are saying that the DLP is not ready, and they keep telling that narrative. This was a party which took on Owen Arthur at the height of his popularity in 2008 and lit the stopping out of him. This Prime Minister, the past former Prime Minister, came to office after the death of David Thompson. And they thought that in 2013 that they had the election won. And every since then, a concerted effort has been made not to allow these fellows to face, because then you can take on Oinapa at the height of his popularity. We knew what Oinapa stood for in Barbados at that time, and beat him at the polls. These were fellows that you could not allow a DLP to research, and we are getting on as if, and they're talking as if 330 love is a lifetime. He brought it to the fore tonight when he said they're not even in for 2 full political terms. And the changes and the twisting, we have elected a group of people who are celebrity politicians. They talk good, they look good, they put on a show, but they're nothing for the people. And we are gobsmacked, we are carried away. But what substance is not meeting what we're seeing is not substance. It is a show, and we have to stop treating politics as if it's a side show, and it is just about winning the next election. It is about people's lives and livelihood, and we have abandoned that. I can remember, because I started following politics from the early 80s as a young, not able to vote, but voted for the first time in 86.
Mm-hmm.
And Marcia, only two issues that we are talking about now was enough back then to bring down any government, because it interfered with people and their families. And we have a riffle of issues. We have people that can't go to the supermarket. We have laws being made and passed that he highlighted tonight.
Yes.
We have big men and women signing away their rights. What? They should not be politicians. We should not vote for them, because if they're signing away their rights like that, of freedom of speech, they will do it. They will sit down.
Yes.
We have to wake up, and that is why they want to silence the stalwarts of the Democratic Labour Party. But we have to capture, when we are not pleased with government, we vote them out. 30%, just over 30-something% voted, which means another 60% or so are not pleased. But I am saying, then we are not pleased with this, what our government that we have elected to serve us is doing. We go to the polls and we make decisions that says to them, you are not representing our best interest. The time has long passed to say to the mayor, the administration, you are not working in our interest. Every time you open the paper, I know something has to be wrong. You're traveling up and down and taking every quarter moment to accept personal accolades and awards. This is not what you were elected for. You don't spend time in Barbados. You declare boldly that somebody will get you're just a telephone call away. The people elected you. Your responsibility is here. But we're seeing a situation where it appears that you want to collect as much international recognition as your people and your country is crying out for help. And we as the people we're not doing anything about it.
Correct.
We're going to get the polls 3 times. And we voted for what we see, but not what is underneath.
Yeah. There's so much that was said. Listen, caller, we need to talk after the show, and we need to come up as you were talking. So many things were coming into my mind, thoughts. you know, because I realize the same thing, Barbados, the same thing that they're doing with Errol Barrow. It is the same thing that they want to do with Mr. Stewart. Do you hear? Do you hear me? And it's the same thing they want to do with, for example, I mean, we can't even come in the same bracket as Mr. Stewart, but it's the same thing they want to do with Ralph Thorne as well. Anybody,
any person that stands up and brings attention to the nonsense that they're doing, they are going to take them. I want the Democratic Labour Party people and people of Barbados to understand that if they are sitting down waiting for the Barbados Labour Party and their leader to get a stamp of approval to anyone who is elected as leader or selected as leader of the Democratic Labour Party, hell will freeze over. The next person will be treated the same way.
correct. They need to realize that and stand up. That's what the DLP needs to realize. It is not about Ralph Thorne. Whoever pushes out their head as a leader, they're gonna cut off your head. So when they're there, they're you know, they need to realize that they need to. It's your party. I'm not part of the party. They need to realize that you cannot give this woman an inch. You can't give these people an inch. They're gonna take a mile. Do not listen to the rhetoric. Do not believe the rhetoric, period. Okay? Look at this intelligent man here tonight, and they tell us that they gave him a name, that he's stupid. They're labeling this man stupid that we listen to tonight. You could listen to them. They're liars.
We have problems in education. We have parents and teachers alike the last meeting was a disaster. Parents are not comfortable, and we know what education means to our people. I was made to understand that the technocrats in education are not comfortable with what we're proposing for September. But there's one particular person who is deciding this is what I want. So the technocrats are left to take the brunt of the abuse of parents and the uncertainty of teachers to sell what one person wants.
Yeah.
That is what we've come to.
That's right. That's right.
I keep telling them that governments come, governments go, but permanent secretaries and those persons who make decisions and write policy stay longer than any minister or any prime minister.
Correct. Correct. Well,
and you don't listen.
Caller,
everything has to happen now.
No, you know, caller, I'm sure this. I know this show tonight is going to bleed over into Monday. We can't, and actually, I want to say this. Well, let me just say, caller, thank you for calling, and we will talk off air. I'm backed up with calls. Okay, thank you so much. You can just press out the call for me. Thank you. Let me just say, folks, that this caller on the phone here really, Michelle and others, put an idea in my head. We have not had a roadside parliament since we had a reply to the budget in March. And I want to make a public request, invitation. Tell Mr. Fonda Stewart that we are making a public invitation to him. I am going to write him the letter, but I am taking the liberty of inviting him tonight. This is the night. Tonight is 9:53, Sunday, June 28th, 9:53. Mr. Fonda Stewart, we want to invite you to address this nation. The Marcia Weekes Show, we want to invite you to address this nation. Barbados at 60, a statesman's message to the nation. I just came up with that theme. If somebody don't like it and you want to change it up a bit, you can give me some ideas. I just came up with that theme just a while ago. Barbados at 60, a statesman's message to the nation. Mr. Fonda Stewart, if you are listening, sir, we will do everything. Provide the platform for you, sir. Advertise it early. How many of you like that idea? While I get to the next call, give me a thumbs up if you like the idea. How many of you like the idea? If you like that idea, okay, so I'm going to answer the call in the order in which I received the calls tonight. Okay, so I'm going to answer calls in the way I received. There are people who are waiting, and I'm going to try my best, okay, to answer the calls in the order I received them. Good night, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show. We have 5 minutes, so you're going to get to the point. I took too long with that other caller, I know. Tomorrow night we'll continue, but go ahead, caller.
Okay, well, I noticed the time is getting away from us, but
yes,
Mr. Short has substantiated my suggestion or my idea that right now Barbados is suffering from a situation where there's constitutional vandalism because of what is repeatedly being done to the nation of Barbados. And I like his address when he addressed the anti-defection bill.
Yes,
I am saying that it is the parliamentarians' freedom of choice and constitutional right to resign from a party or to go across the floor, whatever. That is a fundamental right that belongs to the parliamentarian, and no one has the authority to limit the power or the opportunity of an elected member of parliament. And I like what Mr. Short said, and then I like his suggestion that things are so bad in Barbados that he is saying something has to be done. We have to deal with what is happening in Barbados today because since 2018, we have been witnessing the dismantling of Barbados.
Yes.
And democracy in Barbados is dead. There is no democracy in Barbados.
I agree.
And I would like Barbadians to realize that the Westminster system, and as far as I'm concerned, is outdated and irrelevant to post-independent, post-republican Barbados. And I would like Barbadians to also recognize that there are models of governance that are way older than the Westminster system. And if we go to Africa, people don't like to hear about Africa, and they turn their noses up when we speak about Africa. But if you go to Chancellor Williams' book, The Destruction of African Civilization, from page 161 to 175, you will see the action of true democracy, right? And we need to look into our culture and to see select the best example, because the Westminster system is no good for us in 21st century Barbados.
And I think Adrian would agree with you with that. Well, thank you so much, caller. Let me go and take another call. I have 3 persons I have to call before the night is up. Okay, thank you so much. But we will have tomorrow too. You have contributed very well, Nigel. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. All right, so I'm going in the order in which the calls came in. Yes. Folks, okay, so I see everybody. You're saying hi, caller. Hey, Ross, how you doing? Yes. We have a few minutes. What are your thoughts so far, Ross? It's good to hear you.
Yeah, very good night. Very good night to the
loyal opposition. Yes.
Loyal opposition. I have some very short but some serious points to make. Number one, why we are getting so much problems with the education system? The whole education system in Barbados is corrupt, and it's corrupt from the schools. That is why everybody is saying that the boys is doing so bad. The boys will always do bad because there's no attention to the boys and every attention to the girls. The reason for this is because when you control the women, you control all the men. This is what is happening in Barbados at this point in time. You control the women and you'll have all the men. That is why you are having this political system functioning the way as it is. If you look at all the heads of Barbados, they are now turning to women. We had a situation in Barbados where we had a minister chased away from the government and voted back in by the people without even a question about his loyalness. This is the problem why we had so much problems with the housing. Can you remember the housing system where all the problems was going on and they actually got rid of the minister? Election time came and the minister was back in.
Correct.
We had a lot of problems in the hospital. Within a matter of seconds, the prime minister ran down to the hospital, and rather than checking for the hospital, she called an election. Isn't this reality? Like Mr. Stewart said, we don't want to solve the problems. We want sweetness.
Exactly. That's it. We want the fete. We want the party.
So if we want sweetness, we don't want problems solved.
No. Well, caller said.
That's me for tonight.
Yes, thank you, caller, for calling. Thank you for calling, and be ready again tomorrow night. Listen, be ready again. We appreciate you guys when you call. Thank you. Okay. Hi, caller. Welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show. This is the last caller for the night. Yes, good night.
Yes. Before the end, found out the Williams shirt was excellent, amazing, and on 0.1 million%. At the money fellow program called A, he was on the money. The same thing that I and others have been saying. We as Democrats have allowed the already government to not only infiltrate, do window shopping in John Street and invoke their hearing voice. We have allowed that. And we paid dealings right at the polls. I heard clearly what the good man, Mr. Stewart, said. A man with wealth and knowledge and years of experience that people could taste. I saw some comments that were ridiculous online. And nothing can step in his shoes. Right? We have a bunch of people that are actors and actresses that only book friends and
hello?
They do not care.
Right. Your Wi-Fi, you're breaking up badly. You're breaking up. Okay, just make the point. Hello? 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 No, we can't hear him. All right, no problem. Yeah, not hearing him well at all. Yeah. Listen, folks. This tonight for me, I sat here all the time I wasted putting together a show today. I spent probably about 4 hours here trying to put a show together today. And it's when I'm getting dressed, then I'm told, that's not your show. This is their show. And that's the thing about us, it's not about me. It's not about the guests. This platform is God's platform. And I just want to say that as we close tonight, it is God's platform. And whatever he wants on the platform is what is done on this platform. I try my best. I don't say I get it right all the time. But, that's really what I want to do. I'm not trying to promote anybody. And, guys, the same way that we platform, as they would say in the, we platform people like Mr. Stewart and Mr. Thorne and all these people, these different people that they want to shut up. We platform them. And I'm saying we will spend the money and advertise. We will, listen, we could do this so big, guys, for the independence. So the 60th, we advertise widely and rent a space. And because November is a rainy season, and get to a space where this man with proper sound system, proper seating, and where he speaks to the nation. And if you are all for that, how many of you would attend? Because, we will do these things and you don't show up. You can't have a statesman speaking and he's speaking to 3 people. It can't. And that is part of why they disrespect people. Because we don't find that it makes sense to put on your clothes and get somewhere to listen. Whatever space we get should be packed to capacity. That's the respect that you give to somebody. He's the only living prime minister, former prime minister that we have. And we should give him the respect. He should not be speaking to 4 people. And when I speak like this, they're thinking that Mr. Stewart tells me to speak like this or that I'm a member of the DLP. I'm no member of no DLP. I am speaking on principle and out of love for country, out of love for this country. How could you not want to platform somebody like this? Listen to what he had to say tonight. And some of you, if he says yes, I don't know if he will say yes. We are just here, we're chatting about it. I hope he would say yes. Will you attend? That's the question. Will you put on your clothes, leave your house and attend? Or you're going to let it be that 3 people show up and then they laugh and say, you see, nobody wants to hear him. All of us need to be down there with our children, with the young people. How are we going to get this nation better? Put it all what you need. If you want to throw some entertainment in there, throw some in there. Throw some in there and get the young people to come and sit down and listen. It's the 60th anniversary, the 60th independence, which they're not making much of a fanfare about. They're going to rush after crop over and rush, slap, dash, do something for the 60th. Because they don't care about independence. They want to push republic because they're so stupid. They will destroy their own history and their heritage to promote their legacy. Mr. Stewart is not my friend. I'm not somebody I get up and I talk to every day. He's never been on the show. I don't know, even know if he will accept. I know it's necessary. I know that it is necessary, whether he was a BLP, a DLP, a CLP, or what. He is the only living prime minister. And as long as I have this platform, he's going to be respected on here. Here I tell you. As long as this platform exists, all of you listening out there, I tell you, this man is going to be respected on it because he don't thief nothing from nobody. There's no reason for him to be treated as an outcast, but because you say so, we must do it. We are not listening to you. No, it's done. Nonsense. You are told us lies. I need to finish this program here tonight, but I want to talk to them. You told us lies, and the country believed you. Look at you. And the reason we know you are liars, because you now have 2 of them in your cabinet. If the corruption was happening, why you have the 2 of them in your, you guys are liars. This government is filled with liars. You use lies. You use lies is what you did. Look at the intellect of this man. And you gave him a name. Fumble. Who fumble like you guys? Do you see? Who fumble like you, Mia Motley? Who can never start, never finish anything that you started? You fumble. Now the scales have removed from our eyes, and we realize that you fumble. This is a fumble government. And we reject the lies. We are adults, and we no longer believe those lies. And the people in the DLP who want to promote that lie, I reject it. I am not part of you, DLP. And I will not believe no lies from you either. You want to believe the lies? Well, you stay with the lies. I am a Barbadian. I wasn't born here. I was naturalized. I'm a naturalized citizen. And I will choose who I want to associate with. You, Mayor Motley, will not tell us who we can associate with. If we want to go to hear from the Stewart, we will put on our clothes and go to hear him. And we will listen to him on our devices. Who do you think you are? Yes, I need to finish this show because there's tomorrow. I'm gonna get off of here. But I just got fired up all of a sudden to think that you want to come now to tell us who to associate with. To hell with you. You will never tell me who to associate with. You, the BLP, nor the DLP, can't tell me who to associate with. Go to hell. All of you. I'm sick of it. I am sick of it. I need to come off the show before I sin myself, because these here are getting the worst thing you can do is to try to tell me, put me in a corner and try to tell me, oh, don't talk to this one, don't listen to this, don't try it. Don't try it. You're a bunch of liars, and we have found you out. You are the fumbling ones. Guys, we're not even playing any music tonight. The truth is that Dave is not here, so I can't play any music. He's out relaxing. He's supporting some people from a young lady from our school, and so he's not. But I'm going to play one of Michelle's song tonight before we close. I'm fired up. I can't wait for tomorrow. I can see myself tomorrow night. You all better sign on tomorrow night, because tomorrow magic gonna happen on that show tomorrow night. All right. So bless up, guys. Bye-bye.
Baila, baila, rise up, baila, baila, rise up, baila, baila. Barbados rising, let freedom ring. From east to west, from coast to town, coast to town. Our island spirit will not back down, never down. Hand in hand, we'll build anew the promise of tomorrow shining through.